Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Marc, and I really like milk. Milk is really good. I love eating milk. I have it with cereal and breakfast. I have it with almost every meal of the day. I also really like eggs. I have it with every morning, weekend. Every morning of the weekend, I have eggs. It's also really important for bakery and stuff, and I like pastries. But we gotta talk about problems. So a really big problem is climate change. Um, the world has increased by 1.62 degrees since the late 2000s, and the ice has been shrinking at increasing rates. The rate has actually tripled since the last decade, and the sea levels has risen by 8 inches in the last century. All these problems cause extreme natural disasters, as seen in places like Puerto Rico, where it doesn't have enough time to recover from the last hurricane before the next hurricane comes, and ocean acidification, which makes the oceans more acidic and is hurting reefs and animals in the water. Other problems include there are 821 million people hungry in the world, and that causes nutritional problems, including death and diseases related to malnutrition. And another problem is factory farms, which include the ethical problems of the disruption of animals' natural systems, such as dairy cows having to be constantly having to constantly procreate so they can keep producing milk, and having to be stripped away from their children so they can keep producing milk, as well as putting chickens too close together, allowing them not to be able to make the social structures they usually make, and as well as the use of antibiotics in factory farms, as animals are too close together, which allows disease and infection to occur rapidly. So they have to use antibiotics, which causes antibiotic-resistant pathogens to develop. So that's a problem as well. And there's also the problem of meat as a form of energy. Meat is highly, highly inefficient, as you have to get the source of meat's energy is from plants, and the source of plants' energy is from the sun, and we're basically getting solar energy from another in-between source with its own inefficiencies, such as growing vital organs that we don't consume, bones, and movements and other processes. About 3% of calories you give to a cow, about 3% of calories you give to a cow are actually consumed, and they use much more land, money, water, nutrients, and energy than agricultural alternatives. Meat makes up about 10% of our nutrients, while it uses up 83% of our agricultural land and 27% of global land. And also, meat is a big factor to climate change, as I talked before. It's 15% of emissions, which is more than boats, planes, and all motor vehicles combined. So an obvious way to try to combat all these problems is lower meat consumption, but that's extraordinarily hard, as it's just a change in lifestyle that many people can't do. So a new way of combating this is, instead of just a lower consumption, is innovation, as seen in meat substitutes that are highly similar to the actual thing it's going after. Previously, meat substitutes were more plant-based meat substitutes, and now there's more shifting to actually plant-made meats. So they're very highly similar to the meats, but still not the meat. So scientists and engineers make meat so it's engineered to be the same texture, same color, have the same juices going out of it, and this is seen in companies like Beyond Meat and the Impossible Burgers and stuff. So there's also the production of lab meats, which are made in a lab and are grown in a lab, so you don't have to do anything cruel to animals or other stuff. And there's also lab-made animal products, such as taking a liquid and then fermenting it in genetically engineered bacteria, so it makes identical milk. And the pro of this milk compared to soy milk and other things, it can actually make cheese, since it has the molecules in it to produce cheese and have its solid texture. So if we reduce meat consumption through just reducing meat consumption or these innovations, we'd see a dramatic decrease in emissions, as meat is the livestock industry is a large part of emissions, as well as the possibility of up to 3.5 billion people more fed, which could dramatically just eliminate world hunger. And this will, and the decrease in demand will also cause a lower supply in meat, causing the shutdown of factory farms and such. So I'm calling on the community to reduce their meat consumption. So you could just taking a day off each week would dramatically decrease demand, or eating these alternatives to meat would dramatically decrease demand and possibly increase their popularity and maybe decrease price. Thank you.